Of all the beloved programs that grace our screens, there's a special, heartwarming magic reserved for the Antiques Roadshow. It's a Sunday evening ritual, a gentle treasure hunt where hope and history intertwine under a sprawling marquee. We watch, captivated, as ordinary people bring forth objects from their attics and mantelpieces, items steeped in family lore and quiet sentiment. More often than not, they leave with a lovely story and a modest valuation. But every so often, a moment occurs that makes everyone, the expert, the owner, and all of us watching at home, collectively hold our breath. On a recent episode, set against the idyllic backdrop of Stephen's house and gardens in North London, just such a moment unfolded. The air was buzzing with the gentle murmur of expectation as families queued, carefully clutching everything from dusty porcelain to tarnished silver. Among them was a woman with a painting, a piece that felt special to her, a cherished link to her great-grandmother. She approached print specialist Alexandra Gill, whose keen eyes are trained to decipher the stories hidden within canvas and paper. As the painting was unveiled, a hush seemed to fall over the appraisal table. It was a breathtaking depiction of a woman, ethereal and tragic, surrounded by nature, a scene instantly recognizable to any lover of literature as Ophelia from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Alexandra Gill leaned in, her expression a fascinating mix of admiration and puzzlement. The artistry was undeniable, the detail exquisite, the mood profoundly evocative. But something wasn't quite adding up. After a thoughtful pause, she looked at the hopeful owner and said, "I'm really glad you brought this in, because this is a perfect example of a work that's a bit of a conundrum." That one word, conundrum, instantly electrified the air. This wasn't going to be a straightforward appraisal. At first glance, the painting screamed 19th century. Its style was a loving homage to the pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, that revolutionary group of English artists, think John Everett Millais and Dante Gabriel Rossetti, who rebelled against the academic art of their day. They were really themselves, harking back to the Italian Renaissance. Alexandra explained, her passion for the subject evident in her voice. They focused a lot on detail, and a lot of the subjects were literary and religious. This painting had all the hallmarks: the meticulous attention to the natural world, the vibrant, jewel-toned colors, and the deeply romantic, almost spiritual subject matter. It was a textbook example of their aesthetic. And yet herein lay the puzzle. Because it looks 19th century, Alexandra continued, building the suspense, but actually it's a 20th century artist. Frank Cadogan Cowper was working in the first half of the 20th century. Imagine that for a moment. While the art world was being turned upside down by the seismic shifts of modernism, while Picasso was shattering forms into cubist fragments and Matisse was unleashing explosions of fauvist color, Frank Cadogan Cowper was in his studio, steadfastly painting with the romantic soul of a Victorian master. He was an artist gloriously out of time. Alexandra shared her fascination. This is a time of massive change in the arts, and yet we have an artist here who is holding true to his own vision and continuing with this absolutely fantastic pre-Raphaelite style work. Cowper became known, affectionately and accurately, as the last of the pre-Raphaelites, a torchbearer for a bygone era of beauty and narrative detail in a world rushing towards abstraction. The painting's personal history was just as compelling. The owner shared its transatlantic journey, a story that added a rich layer of personal heritage to the piece. Her great-grandmother, a woman of discerning taste, had originally purchased the painting here in the UK after moving from Boston. It was a treasure she so adored that when she later returned to America, the beautiful Ophelia went with her, a cherished piece of England carried across the ocean. Now, generations later, it had made the return journey, brought back to its homeland to finally have its full story revealed. The subject of the painting, Ophelia, is one of the most poignant figures in literature, and a favorite muse for the pre-Raphaelites. Driven to madness by Hamlet's cruelty and her father's death, she drowns herself, surrounded by the flowers she has gathered. Cowper, Alexandra explained, had a gift for capturing an entire narrative in a single frozen moment. In this portrait you could feel the weight of Ophelia's sorrow, the fragile state of her mind, and the haunting beauty of her final moments. It was a story told not with words, but with brushstrokes, light and shadow. As the history and artistry of the piece were laid bare, only one question remained, the one on everyone's mind. What was it worth? The owner waited, her hands clasped. This painting was a beloved.